Picture this. It's 9:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning in New York. The electronic tickers lining the walls of the stock exchange are flashing an unbroken sea of red. Traders have stopped shouting and are just staring, frozen, at the screens. In 15 minutes, just 15 minutes, the U.S. stock market has shed more than $2.3 trillion in value. And while millions of Americans are watching their retirement accounts vanish in real time, a small group of people are about to become incredibly, unimaginably rich. What you're about to hear is the story of Operation Gold Eagle, a plan so audacious, so precisely executed, that it reads like fiction. But every document I'm about to share with you is real. Every signature, every email, every recorded conversation. And by the end of this story, you'll understand exactly who orchestrated one of the largest wealth transfers in American history, while the rest of the world was losing everything. This isn't just about money. This is about power, betrayal, and a conspiracy that reaches the highest levels of government. So buckle up, because what happened in that hearing room changed everything. Let me take you inside that hearing room in Washington. The air is thick with tension as cameras roll, and reporters lean forward in their seats. Walking down the center aisle is Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, and in her hands is a red-stamped folder-marked classified material. Sitting in the front row, leaning back with that familiar smirk, is Donald Trump. He looks confident, almost bored, as if this is just another performance. But what he doesn't know yet is that Crockett is holding the smoking gun that will connect him directly to the morning's financial chaos. When Crockett reaches her seat, she doesn't open the folder immediately. Instead, she locks eyes with Trump and delivers a line that will be replayed on every news network for weeks. This morning, the American people woke up to chaos in the markets. And today, they will find out exactly who made billions when it happened. The silence that follows is electric. You can literally see Trump's smirk fade as the cameras zoom in on his face. But here's where it gets really interesting, because what Crockett reveals next will blow your mind. She opens that folder and pulls out the first document. It's not from some whistleblower or political opponent. It arrived at her office 3 days earlier with no return address, just sitting on her desk before sunrise. Inside the envelope was a thick stack of documents and a single handwritten note with 4 words. Operation Gold Eagle. Can you imagine finding something like that on your desk? Knowing that someone risked everything to get this information to you? But wait until you hear what was actually in those documents. Crockett spreads out a massive diagram that looks like something from a spy thriller. It shows money moving through a web of offshore accounts, shell companies, and banks across multiple countries. We're talking about $412 million flowing from the Cayman Islands to Delaware, then splitting into streams that end up in accounts directly tied to Trump. But here's the crazy part. These transfers didn't happen over months or even weeks. They happened in a single day, just hours before information that would collapse the markets became public. This isn't coincidence, folks. This is choreography. She traces the money flow with her finger, from the Caymans to Delaware, from Delaware to New York and Nevada, and then boom, straight into entities controlled by the Trump organization. The timing is so precise, it's almost surgical. Think about what this means. While your grandmother is watching her pension fund evaporate, while small business owners are seeing their credit lines frozen, someone knew exactly what was coming and positioned themselves to profit from the chaos they were about to unleash. But wait, it gets worse. Much worse. The next document Crockett pulls out is an email. The subject line is just one word. Done. The message is even shorter. We short it before release. Let me break this down for you. Shorting means betting that something will lose value. So this email, sent 48 hours before the collapse, is literally saying, we're betting against the market before the bad news comes out. This isn't investing. This is insider trading on a massive scale. The sender? A senior economic advisor with direct ties to Trump's inner circle. The recipient? A hedge fund CEO whose firm made $1.6 billion in profit when the markets crashed. And get this. The email was sent the exact same minute that massive short positions were being opened in London, Hong Kong, and New York simultaneously. But that's not even the smoking gun. Crockett then reveals another email that talks about early positioning prior to public awareness, and making sure the external narrative focuses on Fed mismanagement to deflect scrutiny from asset acquisition. This is a playbook, people. They weren't just planning to profit from a collapse. They were planning to control the collapse and then control the recovery. It's like burning down a building so you can buy the land cheap, except the building is the entire U.S. economy. Now, here's where this story takes a turn that sounds like something out of a political thriller. Crockett has a recording. The voice is distorted to protect the witness, but the words are crystal clear. The witness describes being in a meeting with senior administration officials where they discuss creating controlled turbulence in the markets. They wanted to spook investors just enough to trigger a sell-off, and they had a specific window, June 12th to 14th. Listen to this quote from the recording. "We'll be sitting pretty when the bottom falls out." And then someone laughed. Not the kind of laugh you make when you're joking around. This was a laugh of someone who knew they were about to get very, very rich. The witness also saw a folder on the table marked with the initials DJT. One of the advisors tapped it and said, "He'll like this one. Can you believe this?" They're sitting in a government building, planning to crash the economy, and joking about how much money they're going to make. It's like something out of a movie, except it's real and it happened. But the most damning evidence is yet to come. Crockett pulls out what she calls the blueprint, the actual Operation Gold Eagle strategic plan. This isn't some vague outline. It's structured like a military operation with 4 specific phases. Phase 1, asset positioning, gaining control of mortgage-backed securities held by the Federal Reserve. Phase 2, market disruption, introducing controlled instability via policy signaling. That's bureaucrat speak for leaking misleading information to shake confidence. Phase 3, acquisition, scooping up Fed assets at fire sale prices once panic sets in. Phase 4, policy influence, using the new asset holdings to pressure the Fed itself, to literally control America's central bank. This is beyond market manipulation. This is economic warfare against the American people. And at the bottom of this plan, clear as day, is a signature in blue ink. Approved, DGD. Think about what this means. They weren't content with just making money. They wanted to own the Federal Reserve, to bend America's central bank to their will. It's like hijacking the engine of the entire economy. The documents keep coming, and each one is more shocking than the last. Purchase agreements for Fed assets, signed the day before the collapse. Wire transfer confirmations showing $84 million moving from Trump-controlled accounts. Legal contracts that couldn't have been executed without knowing those assets were about to be sold at a massive discount. The signatures match. The dates align perfectly. The money trail is unbroken. This isn't circumstantial evidence. This is a paper trail, so clear you could follow it with your eyes closed. Crockett lays out 3 signed contracts, all bearing Trump's signature in the same blue ink. Purchase agreements for hundreds of millions in Fed assets, signed less than 18 hours before the markets crashed. The timing isn't coincidental, it's criminal. But here's what really gets me. While ordinary Americans lost an average of $18,000 from their retirement accounts in a single morning, these contracts were designed to multiply in value the moment the collapse hit its lowest point. The global impact is staggering. London's markets plunged. Tokyo's trading was halted. Frankfurt lost 9% in a single day. This wasn't just an American crisis. The shockwaves hit every major financial center on Earth. Pension funds in Canada lost $46 billion overnight. Retirement accounts in Australia dropped 12%. Oil prices fell 12% in hours, shaking energy markets from the Gulf to the North Sea. But while the world was burning, money was flooding into tax havens and offshore banking centers. The Cayman Islands, Bermuda, Luxembourg, Singapore, all lit up green on the profit map, while everywhere else was drowning in red. This is what a coordinated financial attack looks like in the 21st century. Not tanks rolling across borders, but algorithms executing trades while the world sleeps, transferring wealth from the many to the few in the blink of an eye. When Crockett finally turns to confront Trump directly, you can feel the electricity in the room. She doesn't shout. She doesn't need to. Her voice is steady, sharp, each word landing with surgical precision. "You cannot tell this committee you didn't know," she says. "Not when your initials are on the plan. Not when your signature is on the agreements, not when the witness saw your folder in the room where the strategy was laid out. Trump sits frozen. The smirk is gone. His hands are clasped so tight the cameras can see his knuckles turning white. You used the Fed as a tool, Crockett continues. You used the market as a weapon. And you used the public as collateral. The final blow lands like a thunderclap. You didn't just gamble with numbers. You gambled with lives. And in this committee, in this country, there is no higher betrayal than that. The aftermath is immediate and electric. Committee members from both parties, politicians who rarely agree on anything, start speaking up. The evidence is too clear, too documented, too damning to ignore. Social media explodes with hashtags. Financial networks replay the market crash footage alongside headlines about congressional investigations. But in coffee shops and break rooms across America, people aren't just talking about politics anymore. They're talking about trust, about whether the system can be saved from people who see it as nothing more than a personal ATM. Trump leaves without saying a word. No handshakes, no glances back, just silence. But Crockett isn't done. As she walks out of the chamber, that red folder still in her hand, she delivers one final statement that will echo for years. Money can buy influence. It can buy friends. It can buy silence. But it cannot erase the truth. And when the truth is loud enough, it can strip away the power money tries to protect. The hearing ends, but the story is just beginning. Referrals to investigative authorities, criminal probes, civil suits. The crack in the foundation has been exposed, and now everyone can see it. This isn't just about one man or one scheme. It's about whether we'll let our democracy be auctioned off to the highest bidder or whether we'll fight to take it back. Because if a plan like Operation Gold Eagle can be executed once without consequences, it can happen again. And next time, the damage might not stop at financial markets. The choice is ours. The evidence is clear. The question now is, what are we going to do about it?